All right, this is going to be a fun one. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to episode 32 of the Designated Players Podcast. It's silly season, and you know what that means. That means the most obscure and random Twitter accounts are saying things are going to happen, and they may or may not, and we are here to give you a quick recap. Today is December 27th, which means everything that is going on right now from today all the way back to the end of the season on December 11th is fair game. If you're listening to this, when is this going out? This is going to go out on the 5th. If you're listening to this on the 5th and things have happened between now and the 5th, we can't cover it because we weren't there. It didn't happen. Disclaimer at the beginning of the episode. All right, so stick around and listen to hear a quick recap of your favorite team and what they've been doing in the off season. Connor, how you doing?
You just saw me, so
I didn't. The fans don't know that.
they can't tell by the fact that we're dressed exactly the same and in the exact same location.
Nope, no, they cannot. What do you got for scarf of the week?
Well, what better scarf for silly season than the silliest team of them all?
Unfortunately, they don't have too much to talk about.
The pride
of Tejas. That's pretty neat. Did somebody say roster rules and regulations? Because we're about to break them all during this silly season. Knocking everything over.
Me too, man.
Stop. Freedom to dream is on mine.
Mine doesn't have that. Yours is cool.
Mine's cooler, I know.
I got the Inter Miami one right here too. Get that randomizer going.
We got the randomizer going.
Go in order.
We're going to call out some teams. If they've got a lot to talk about, we'll talk about it. If there's not a lot to talk about, we'll move right on. Some teams have made official moves already, and some teams have not. And it's all going to be about what they're doing in the offseason, and we'll talk about it, right? So, this is a good one. What a great place to start. If I was picking a great place to start, where would I be?
FCC.
Wrong, I wish. Toronto FC, one of the most active names in the transfer market so far. We'll start with the big one. Lorenzo Insigne, the name that has been on everybody's lips since the start of silly season. Actually, even before the season really ended, this guy was kind of being rumored around. From what we are reading, it is just about 95% done. It is going to be a determination of if MLS want to shell out an extra $5 million. This is what I was just reading before. An extra 5 million to get Insigne in early, like in the start of next season, or if we wait till he comes in the summer. Connor, what do you think about what do you think about the move?
I mean, this is, at least in my opinion, probably the most talented player to, assuming he makes the move, the most talented player to have made a move to MLS. And I'm not talking like most talented all time. Like 40-year-old Andrea Pirlo doesn't count just because he was good once upon a time. In their current ability, I feel like Lorenzo Insigne, I mean, he's one of the top players in Serie A. He's one of the top players for Italy, who just won the Euros. I mean, this is a top quality player that makes the Giovinco move that they made a few years ago. It puts it to shame. I mean, these are the moves that we want to be making, right? Like, this is what Inter Miami was supposed to be, is to go after high profile guys like this. So obviously great for the league, great for Toronto. I will be very curious to see how he does with the physicality of the league. obviously Gio is able to handle it. So I 100% would say Insigne can find a way. But I will be curious to see that because he is I know that's not his forte is the physical part of the game. So
Correct.
go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say that. Yeah, he'll handle the physical part of it for sure, but it seems nobody else is offering him things. That's kind of what I've been reading recently. Is he was basically waiting for somebody else to say, "Hey, let's go play," and they all just kind of let him walk. So it's a really good get for Toronto. Absolutely. He'll be one of the best players in the league, no question. Again, I mentioned it before the end of the season. Bob Bradley plus Lorenzo Insigne plus Pozuelo is a supporter shield. Like, it's not even close. Other players linked. There was a rumor Sebastian Giovinco might come back. I don't see it happening if Insigne comes in, but if it did, do we even bother playing the season? Is it worth it?
Yes. Every Toronto game is going to be like 8-6 because Toronto's got all these great attackers linked with them, but have you seen any good defenders linked with them? I mean, they were terrible last year defensively, I feel like.
They were, but they'll get there. Don't worry about it. And then finally on December 22nd, they signed Shane O'Neill. There you go. Shane O'Neill will save them. As a free agent, he joins from Seattle on a 2-year deal, it seems. Yes, through the 2024 season. So good get for them. Again, they needed to upgrade that back line. Omar Gonzalez just wasn't doing it. O'Neill, a part of the Seattle back line that created one of the best defensive teams in the league last year. Good get, no question. Let's talk about players that might leave. You got our buddy Jacele Marshall-Rutty training with Liverpool and Arsenal the last couple of weeks. I'm not saying this is going to be a move that happens right away. However, he's been training with all these big teams. He will be moving relatively soon. Julian Dunn, I believe he has made a move to Norway for a 2-season loan. Yes, I was just getting the right. Norway's HamCam. Sorry, I didn't know if that was a typo or not. I wasn't sure if I messed something up. Yes, so he went over there. Actually, it doesn't look like it's a loan. It looks like it's a official move now. So that's a big loss to them. He was a big part of their youth system coming up. Sorry, I'm now getting mixed things. So I listed it for 2 seasons. Yeah. No, it says the next 2 seasons. Now it looks like it. Yeah, it looks like it.
It looks pretty permanent to me.
Yeah, it looks permanent. We'll have to edit that in the thing, but it's a permanent move. I think it's a 2-year deal in Norway. WalkingTheRed.com, a Toronto FC community, posts that he's heading over there for at least the next 2 seasons. So my guess is a 2-year deal, moving on to Norway, where he will grow, and I can't imagine he won't do anything other than slot right into Canada's youth national team for the next few years. Yeah. Thoughts on losing Dunn?
I actually just sent you a link to the article. Take a look. Look how thrilled he is to be on that team.
Did you put it in the chat of this call?
Yes, I put it in the Zoom chat.
Oh, you know what? I think I just opened this up before. Yeah, I opened this up before.
He looks pretty excited to be there.
That he does.
I think you're right in that they are losing a good player from their like youth system, but he wasn't really playing for them much. I think it still hurts just in the fact that they are lacking in defensive help. And it doesn't help. I mean, Omar Gonzalez is obviously better than nobody there,
Right.
arguably. But I think they're really fleeced in the back line, which is an area I think that they really needed to improve. I feel like attacking wise, they were going to be fine regardless. So I think losing him hurts, not a ton, obviously, because he wasn't playing a lot. But I mean, he probably only could have helped. I doubt he would make things worse for them. So
Sure. He it looks very much like that Toronto in general are not taking the
player
kids movement
yeah,
as they ship their kids out the door so they can sign other more experienced players to each their own. Last two big ones here. Jefferson Satellite has been rumored a bunch of different places to go to Palmeiras or Sao Paulo. Palmeiras was... Oh, that's the wrong button. I did not mean to hit that. Oh, God, how do I close it? There it is. Okay. Steve Buffery on Twitter and Callum Williams also on Twitter leaking Sao Paulo and Palmeiras back-to-back. An interesting move for somebody who was brought in just a season ago. What are your thoughts?
I thought he looked really good. I kind of disappointed that they're looking to get rid of him. I think it kind of makes sense, I guess, if they're trying to bring in Insigne and Giovinco and whoever else to play with Pazuello, but I feel like he had shown plenty of potential to be really dominant in this league and be another one of those younger South American guys that comes into this league, blows up, and then moves on to Europe. So a little bit disappointed to see them move on from him so quickly.
I agree. 24 appearances for Toronto. Now, granted, he wasn't clearly he wasn't a game changer. But you know, having enough of an impact to excuse me, you know, enough of an impact, 3 goals, 6 assists on a team that was extremely poor last year, gotten him from Santos, where he was tearing up the Brazilian league. It seems silly to let him go on a loan buy deal unless he's really unhappy here. Both Brazilian teams, you know, for somebody who had basically grown up the last 2 years, didn't make it into Venezuela's national team, it looks like this year. So he might feel that his chances to play at the national level are hurt as well.
Yeah, but he should be able to do it because Joseph still makes the Venezuelan national team. So
let me just check their most recent lineup here. Yeah, he didn't make it. Junior Moreno, Christian Caceres, Christian McCoon, Ronald Hernandez, tons of MLS players in there. So it's not the league. I promise you that. It'll be interesting to see how that goes down because it would have been really fun to watch him play next to Insigne and link up with Pazuello and under Bob Bradley too, right? Somebody who turned Carlos Vela and Diego Rossi and all those players into really good players. So it'd be very interesting to see if he could stick around and join that. And lastly, the last one for Toronto before we move on is something that came out just minutes ago from what I saw. Josie Altador. I'm trying to find my source because, like I said, it was right quick before. Excuse me.
Or like Josie out the door.
You've been waiting all day for that one, haven't you?
No, I just came up with it.
God, it's all my. I have 3 sources. And I can never figure out which one's the right one. There it is. Hatayspor in Turkey is linked to Josie Altador. I was just reading a quick link that I saw, but it's a Turkish YouTube video. Doesn't seem like it is anything super legit, but it's a rumor nonetheless. We know Josie's out. It's been known for some time that he is not going to come back, at least on a DP salary. So it's Io Akinola's show to run.
Yes, it is. Or they sign somebody.
Which is more likely, isn't it? But that's the Toronto FC news up and coming.
All right, who's next?
We shall move on to a team named Seattle Sounders. You want to take this one away?
Sure. Doesn't look like there's too much we have for Seattle here. In terms of the linked to, you see a link to Vincent Janssen, former Spurs, and played somewhere in the Netherlands, I believe. This comes from El Balanazo MX on Instagram. You put the source there. I don't know how.
It seemed legit enough to list it.
It's an interesting one because obviously Rui Diaz is your guy up top. So you got to figure if they're bringing in Janssen, it's either they're going with two strikers or they want to play him as a backup. I feel as though he'd be kind of an expensive backup, so it kind of makes me feel like they're going to try to play them both. I don't remember where Janssen was playing last. I kind of feel like it was in the Mexican League, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yes, he's with Monterrey.
Okay. So I would say a move to MLS is definitely not out of the picture. So then we got Obed Vargas. I saw you just added on here.
Yep, little bit of last minute additions here.
Yeah,
two
homegrown player.
2 homegrown signings. Yep.
Okay, so in addition to Vargas, there's Sam Adeniran.
Yep, Sam Adeniran, who actually played for the Sounders in an extreme hardship call-up. The team beat Austin FC, which isn't shocking, but with the Tacoma Defiance, their USL 2 side, he set the franchise record with 13 goals and 2 assists. So the guy is a goal scorer, which makes you think that this Janssen transfer is more smoke than anything else.
Yeah, could be.
Obed Vargas, a homegrown player, also the 18th homegrown player. Yep. He also had a record-breaking year with the Tacoma Defiance. 16-year-old Alaskan.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
20 matches started, all at defensive midfield, leading the team in tackles won and tied for 4th in matches played, all for a 16-year-old.
Pretty good.
Like I said, and again, if you look at the makeup, and we're not talking about roster makeups, that's going to be start of season 3. Josh Atencio, Reed Baker Whitting, Leo Chu, Ethan Doblayer, Daniel Levaya, and Obed Vargas. 7 of the 9 midfielders are all homegrown. And then you got Sam Adeniran, Alfonso Ocampo Chavez, also in there. These guys are leading that player kid movement, man.
Yeah. Seattle's good at mixing that with some good signings from.
They do. They have a really good balance. I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah. And then for the linked away for Seattle, we've got Reed Baker Whitting, who I believe is he's another homegrown guy for them, pretty young. If I remember correctly, he's linked with like a lot of big clubs in Europe, probably.
Yeah, Liverpool, Man City, and Dortmund, just to name a few.
Yeah, so high potential for him. As to why these big teams are looking to scoop him up while he's still cheap and hasn't had too much exposure. And then the other one linked away is Spencer Richie.
Spencer Richie made his move to FC Cincinnati. I'm sorry, not FC Cincinnati. Philly. Was it Philly? Where'd he go?
Nope. Spencer.
Oh, there he is. Chicago. I'm sorry. I knew it was a bottom of the table garbage team.
Yeah, moved to Chicago. Go back up Slanina if he's still there.
If he's still there, we'll get to that.
Yeah, makes sense that he would move on because he's not taking Fry's starting spot. He would just be a backup in Seattle as well, and they have Trey Muse as well. So Spencer's probably third in the Seattle depth chart. So makes sense to move on and go to a team where he's got a better chance at getting any game time. But
sure.
That's what we've got so far for Seattle. So
yep.
Nothing too serious.
No, nothing too serious, but we will be putting out kind of like grades for the rumors that may or may not happen. That'll be a separate kind of like social media thing. So make sure you're following us on all social media so you can see that happen. Next up, New York City. The MLS Cup champions are not linked to anybody at the moment, but have two of their standout players linked away. Of course, MLS Golden Boot winner Tati Castellanos. Tons of teams looking at him. An $8 million bid from Nottingham Forest, West Ham, and also Besiktas involved in that move. And I believe Palmeiras is also looking at him. This guy's going to leave. He's gone. You just got to figure out where and how much money you're going to get for him. The real question is, how much money do you think they're going to get for him? A reminder, Pepe, 5 years younger, 6 less goals, went for 10 mil. How much do you think they're going to get for him?
I'm thinking around 8 mil.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what they'd get for him. In a normal market, I'd say they get at least 10 million, but I think with the COVID market, he'll probably be around 8.
Sure. It makes sense that he would drop off a little bit. He an unbelievable season. Nobody's gonna sneeze at it, but you're right. The COVID market is going to drop you just a little bit. And really, what did he do last year versus what he did this year is, a lot of teams aren't going to take a big money move for a guy that may not be able to do it at the next level. Now, Pep Guardiola's already called out and said that he will, but I'm not sure. Is that because I don't like the team? Maybe, but we'll talk about it. Lastly, James Sands is the other name linked away. I don't have anybody linked at him specifically, but I believe it was Taylor Twellman, our Lord and Savior, if you will, who made a comment saying that he's making the move this window. What do you think about that?
He should. I think he should look for the right move, though. We'll get to it a little bit later on the whole Pepe transfer, but I think it would be really good for him, especially in the national team picture, to go into Europe, kind of learn that style of play a little bit more, seeing as how the first team for the men's national team is becoming more and more Europe dominant. So I feel like that style of play is going to continue to develop. Obviously Greg can coach the way he wants to coach, but at the end of the day, the guys on the field are going to be the ones making the decisions, making the plays. So I think it would be a good opportunity for him to not only with the style of play, but just to play with better players as well, play with better competition. But I want to keep an eye on where he would move, because I think it could be a bad move if it's to a team that's not going to develop him well.
Correct. Sorry, I was just looking up to see if I could find that tweet from Taylor, but no, massive points all around there. He needs to make the step up. It's just a matter, I think it's going to be where they play him, right? And I was kind of half listening. Did you mention about the positioning?
No.
Okay, So then I just didn't want to repeat what you were saying. Like I said, I was half on there, but it's all going to be for me positioning. Where does he best fit in? He's a little small to play center back at a really high competitive level. He's not super quick to play outside back. So I think D-mid is his best spot, but does he have the intangibles to play that position? And that's probably what the holdup is going to be. But from what it sounds like, is he's on his way out. So who are they going to bring in to replace him? Because he was massive for them this year.
I feel like they stick with Parks and Morales probably, at least for the time being.
Sure, but who's next?
I don't know who does Man City have in the waiting room right now?
Yeah, they're not just going to let people walk out the door without bringing them in, but it'll be very interesting to see who it is.
Yep. Next,
DC United.
All right.
Go right on. Pick your favorite.
DC United. Got a couple of players here on the link too, starting off with Eric Ramirez. Source looks like it's Black and Red United Day. Is that the source? Black and Red United.
Black and Red United.
Black
I
and
think
Red.
it's supposed to be .com. I don't know why it auto-corrected, but
Okay. Well, Black and Red United, the source. He's a winger from Gimnasia La Plata.
Nice.
I'm not sure if I would guess the country. Uruguay?
I don't know. I don't actually know the country, I'll be honest with you.
Okay. Interesting. Reminds me a lot of Flores, I guess, South American winger. I would assume that he's going to come in and almost be like a replacement for Flores and or Emil Assad. So I think those are the moves that I feel like we want to see. So I think it's a good choice for them to, dip their toes into it again, try again. Why not? Then second on the list, Luis Mejia, 30-year-old goalkeeper. Got to figure he's the backup. Obviously not taking Bill Hamid's spot. So get some cover there. And then the last one is Ted Cu Di Pietro. Or Di Pietro. Sounds like the old Islanders goalie.
I'm waiting for that one.
Homegrown signing. I'm not sure if you have more information on him, but
no, it's he's kind of just making up the numbers. You probably won't see much out of him until 2 or 3 years, maybe next year for a little bit, but I wouldn't expect to see too much out of him, not this year.
Yeah. And then linked away for DC on Twitter, MLS News tweeted a potential move away for Ola Kamara out to Olympiacos in Greece, which I could definitely see happening. I think if DC got good money for him, definitely worthwhile move, because I do feel like Ola Kamara is kind of at his peak right now in terms of value. I think anything farther down the line, he's not going to hit the same value he's at right now, seeing as how he was essentially joint golden boot. So it's good move to capitalize on him if they can get some good money from it. And I think it's definitely Olympiacos is definitely a move I can see Kamara making and still getting some good game time there and doing what he does best, just scoring goals.
Yeah, and they're gonna need a replacement if he does leave, because he was like a third of their goal last year.
Bila, I hear is available.
Stop. To build off of Eric Ramirez, I believe Gimnasia La Plata is Argentina. It says a report from Argentina brings us out, but he had sort of a breakout year this year. 3 goals, 3 assists, 27 games, 1,500 minutes, which is about a third of his career. His contract expires. The teams are going to be getting negotiations. I'm sure they might be able to get him on a free. This is all really good reporting from Black and Red United. Really good stuff there. He had 6 seasons, and he only played more than 10 games twice until this year. So he seems to be hitting his stride in terms of the goalkeeper. Luis Mejia, this is probably a long shot. There is a team in Cyprus that is apparently looking for his services as well to be a number one. So you'd assume that he's probably going to go there before he goes to MLS, which just makes sense, right? Why not go to Europe when MLS is calling? But Luis Mejia is also the starter for the Panamanian national team. Anytime you see US play Panama, he's usually between the sticks. So it's not a bad pickup, but at that age where you can start in Europe, why bother with MLS being a backup?
Yep.
The Ola Kamara one, like I said, that's the big one for me to keep an eye on, because if he leaves, you better start scrambling to find who's going to play up top.
Julian Gressel.
Love it. Pretty easy one here for the next one. FC Dallas, linked to another really funny name, Ferreirinha. Grêmio's Brazilian striker has been linked to FC Dallas. My guess would be a replacement for this guy, Papi. Ricardo Pepi, as of today, seems like he's 95% away or 95% towards a move to Wolfsburg in Germany, which just makes sense for a guy of his ability and talent, the best U22 player in the league by all votes.
Not all votes.
All votes. So Ferreirinha would be a like for like there, considering they haven't had the best success with
with signing.
I don't even know his name.
Signing anybody that's not from their academy.
Yeah.
Franco Jara.
Franco Jara has not been the best. And actually, it looks like he is more comfortable underneath, playing as more like a winger than a pure striker, but he has played striker before. He's usually a left midfielder, according to WhoScored.com, our favorite website. 3 goals, 6 assists, and 29 appearances in Brazilian's top flight, 3 man of the match awards, and is Grêmio's best rated player by a long shot. Over, funny enough, our friend Thiago Santos, which, if I remember correctly, was at FC Dallas last year. Who could have guessed? Only played 2 games though before he moved, because whatever. But looks like they're going to be dipping themselves back into the well of Grêmio and seeing if they can pull that winger around so they can support Franco Jara a little bit more. But it doesn't matter because all of his teammates aren't real anyway. And he's going to have to displace Ryan Hollingshead. So don't know how that's going to happen.
Impossible.
The price tag will be big for me on that one. If we look over here at FC Dallas's team, especially because they're big on the flip, right? They're big on flipping talent best they can. Excuse me. I am dry throated. Paxton Pomykal is going to have to slide somewhere. You might see him drop a little bit deeper, maybe. Or they'll put Ferreira up top, Pomykal central, and drop him on the left wing. There are tons of different things that they can do, but that's actually the same space that Schoen plays in as well. So you're gonna have to figure that out because you got Obrian as well. There are tons of people who they've signed in those spaces already. That they're going to have to deal with. So it'll be very interesting to see how that works out for them. But the price tag is going to be big because I can see them getting him cheap, but not being able to flip him if he doesn't play. Thoughts?
I think that's definitely all fair. I feel like we can't really count out any replacements coming from their academy because I'm sure they can call up somebody we've never heard of. They will play like 5 games and then move on to Real Madrid. So
you're not wrong. You are not wrong, my friend. Let's move on to the Galaxy.
LA Galaxy, Greg Vanny.
I'm gonna drop some notes in for you while we do this, because I realize.
Okay. First name on the list, interesting one for me. I know you added this one in here. I'm curious to know where you got this one from, but Paul Arriola linked.
Oh, Paul Arriola was rumored by a bunch of different people. So Paul Arriola, when Leggett was making the move, Paul Arriola was instantly linked as a salary for salary replacement. Will Forbes on December 14th, to piggyback off earlier reports, LA Galaxy interested in Arriola. I'm told it's likely to happen.
We probably should have had him in our linked away for DC.
Definitely should have. Sometimes I forget to update things.
Nope, not your fault. I could have seen it though. But yeah, so Paul Arriola linked to LA Galaxy. Very interesting move, potentially. I'd be curious to see if they play him at outside back or if they try to go for him as a winger. So then the next name on the list is Yaro Henriquez.
Nice. You didn't butcher that at all.
And I don't have any information on him.
That's all right. He is a 28-year-old midfielder from El Salvador. He's in El Salvador's national team. Not sure if he's a central or an outside player, but there's actually a clip here of him absolutely toasting Serginho Dest with a little like flick up move. Looks like he's a winger and would make it interesting for him to come in alongside Arriola. So you have to think it's going to be one of the two. Excuse me.
A lot of wingers linked there.
Which also doesn't make sense because you've got Grandsir and Cabral who had the majority of that play. Now, granted, they didn't do a whole bunch, but I don't see where these guys fit in, especially unless you're going to go change your shape. Because I don't think Victor Vasquez is going to be your starting attacking mid. Well, he's not backing more, but I don't think Sasha Question is going to take that.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting for sure, but yeah, Grandsir and Cabral had the majority of it. Edson Alvarez was in there a little bit. Sebastian Leggett played outside mid because. So it could just be to give some rotation. I cannot see anybody signing Paul Arriola for any legitimate amount of money just to rotate him in with Grandsir. And then Andres Jokanovic, a Bosnian DM, to probably take the Jonah Dos Santos spot. That's probably not the worst thing. I believe he's a 20-year-old defensive mid, and I think that's got to be like for Mr. Dos Santos leaving. So look for that one to come up soon. He currently plays for oh gosh, what is that? I can't read that. FK Sarajevo. Okay. FK Sarajevo. So it'll be he was in the Bosnian national team. So very interesting to see if they make that move as well. But that'll be like for like, because as we mentioned, Sebastian Leggett is no longer on the team. He has been traded to New England Revolution for $500K and up to 1.3 million GAM, depending on performance incentives. How many times he pass the ball forward? Is it more than 3? Here's an extra mil.
Yeah. So not getting an extra.
So you're not getting an extra mil. And then you've got Daniel Steres, who was moved to Houston for a 3rd round pick. Good deal by Houston there, way to get some value in that back line. Get them up to 4th place in the West like they should have been last year.
Yeah.
Would like to see the center backs now. You're looking And again, we'll dive a little bit deeper into roster stuff next year. But Derek Williams and Nick Dupuis with Koulibaly. So Steres was the fourth guy on there, but you'll probably want to bring somebody up just to be safe. So good deal there. With both teams kind of benefited from that. Third round pick isn't going to get you too much, but take a flyer on Steres if something doesn't work out. Whatever.
Yeah, agreed.
Montreal. What's up with Montreal? There's only one to talk about, and that was confirmed today, the 27th of December. Alistair Johnston has been brought in for $1 million in GAM. Talk to me about what you think about this move in general.
I really like Alistair Johnston, so I think it's a good move for Montreal. I did think Montreal had pretty solid young guys in their back line. So it's kind of an interesting one. It kind of just stockpiles more of those guys in there. And I do feel like they paid a pretty good amount of money, probably a bit more than I would have expected for Alistair Johnston. But still think it's a good move at the end of the day. A quality backline addition to the team, a Canadian also just to add on top of that. So matches obviously team nationality. I don't know. I think overall it's a good move for Montreal, despite the fact that I think that they paid a bit more than I thought they would.
So I think, again, and you know how much I love to give props to our pundit friends, but Alexi Lalas made a really good point, and you probably should clip that because you'll never hear me say that again. But this really highlights how valuable the inter-trade market can be, or the intra-trade market. A lot of times you'll get teams that just skate by and get away with stuff, and really pull a few. I'm trying to think of the right word here. They undervalue the players because in between leagues, when you get, like I said, if somebody signed Alistair Johnston for $1 million overseas, we're thinking that Nashville got robbed. So this is good business for Montreal. What I'd like to see in a few weeks is, what does this do to Zachary Brault-Guillard? A lot of people are saying that it's an improvement. However, is it though? Because truthfully, I think they're one and the same. I know Johnston gets a start in the Canadian national team, but Brault-Guillard's a fantastic little player. So where does that go? Will one of them move to the left-hand side? It's a possibility. Right now they had Mustafa Kiza, kind of playing in that space, along with Chonier, Lapalainen, but nobody really stuck that down. So if you move Brault-Guillard to one side and put Johnston on the other, you're going to put two really good on each side, or one on each side. I think that's probably what you end up seeing, but who knows?
To your point on the allocation money, I would agree with you. Obviously, if someone grabbed Johnston outside of the league for $1 million, I would say it was a good deal. But I would say within the league, you have to, I think, remember the fact that you only have a certain amount of money that you can use to trade within the league. So then if you have, let's just say like 2.5 million and whatever TAM GAM, and you've now just spent like 40% of it on one player, I think that's going to feel like a lot of money, because now you don't have nearly as much that you can use to do other within the league moves or buying down players or whatever. So I think some perspective should be brought onto the $1 million, as opposed to just comparing it outright to $1 million spent overseas.
Sure, totally fair. Totally fair. They do have a little bit more than to me what we might think. I think it's about 4.5 mil, something around there. So they have more money than they used to. But you're right. A million in GAM is much more than $1 million in a transfer fee. I get it. But I still think that it's good business to improve that spot compared to going out and finding somebody who's not necessarily familiar with the league or the terrain or the country. I think it's good business. I think it's a good deal. And I think Nashville also benefited from it, right? We'll talk about them in a little bit, but they are racking up money. Who knows where they're going to come from?
Yeah, but also, like you said before, how much did you really improve the spot? You had ZBG there before. Did you really make a $1 million GAM improvement in that position? I feel like they didn't, which is why I feel like they overpaid.
It depends on where the money goes to.
Like, so let's just take Lewis Morgan, for example, right? Like Lewis Morgan's brought in, whether he's playing as the second striker, Fabio replacement, or Kyle Duncan right wing back replacement, you're replacing someone who's no longer there. So the spot's completely open. So I feel like spending the 1.2 whatever million to bring in Lewis Morgan makes total sense. And I don't think it would be an overpay because it's Lewis Morgan or it's nobody. Because, or let's just say Lewis Morgan or someone like from Red Bull too. So I think it's like a major improvement in that case. But in the case of Montreal, at least for the time being, you paid $1 million in TAM or GAM or whatever to bring him in to replace someone who's still on the team and is still there. So I feel like the improvement is very minimal while the money shelled out is still significant.
Sure. And again, that ZBG might be on his way out. You don't know. I get that.
Yeah, I don't know. But as far as I can see, he's still there. So that's what I have to go off of.
Okay, that no disagreements, but I still think it's good on both ends. The money will work itself out when it works itself out. RSL only has one, and it's a stretch. Albert Rusnak has been linked to Southampton and Newcastle. However, Elliot Fall, the RSL general manager, made it pretty clear they look forward to having him back next year. So this seems kind of be one of those up in the air rumor types of maybe not. I'd expect to see him back unless they get some crazy money offer for him.
Which they could from Newcastle. They got the money to spend now.
If they've got the money, it's not going to be for that guy.
Probably not, but who knows?
Moving on to Austin. I'll let you take this one. Sorry, I thought I cut out for a second.
So we got two names for the link to, nothing for the link to away as of right now. So link to, we kind of touched on this before, but Vincent Janssen in that same post relating to Janssen with Seattle, also rumored to Austin, which in my opinion makes a lot more sense than him moving to Seattle. If he goes to Austin, he probably starts. And it's a position that Austin really needs help in. So I think it would make sense for both parties. So a good move, they can get that across the line. And then the other move, I think I don't know if it's officially confirmed move, but it's okay. Ethan Finley signs for Austin for 2 years. Obviously, MLS veteran winger, can definitely provide very good cover for them. He's obviously not, top of the line best wingers in the league, but certainly a guy that's going to easily get a job done for you. So I think it's a very good signing for them. Not only to just bring in some like nice veteran leadership, but also to just sign a guy who's just, you're going to get like decent quality from him. Like nothing crazy, but he's a very quality player.
Sure, he'll give him great depth. I would say the Vincent Janssen link is also a little excessive after they just went out and got Druisi and De Gette. So I'd say it'd be overkill, but it might be the move that they need to make. right? That would free up Druisi to play on the wing. DeJete would have a strike partner. Again, it depends on how they want to go with it. Ethan Finley add them good depth, and something we didn't add on here, but something to note is that Zan Komaniak, the left back that they brought in on loan this year, has been made permanent as well. It's not on the list, but that's just something to note. So he will be back next year. He put in a good shift for them, had about 20, 25 appearances, somewhere around that number, and was one of their better players, top 25%. So he will be back as well.
Nice.
All right, now we're flying. Supporter Shield champions, New England Revolution. I've got, there we go. Obviously, the two big ones, Sebastian Lletget, 500K up to 1.3 mil. We talked about it already. And my favorite, we're getting the band back together because Omar Gonzalez joins AJ De La Garza and Bruce Arena in New England. I don't see a lot for this one. I don't get it. Now, that being said, Bruce Arena is about to turn Omar Gonzalez into a MLS best 11 center back again, but we let it be. We let it be. He'll give depth. That's kind of the best I can go with right now. He'll give you guys some depth, New England fans, but man, I can't see anybody who's super hyped about this. You've got Farrell and Kessler, and then Jonathan Bell, who I don't know if he came back. So they will need center back 3, but you could have gone a lot of different places to get center back 3. I don't know. It just doesn't sit well with me. He could teach. It could be to teach Henry Kessler a little bit more, let him grow a little bit into the game. Could do that. Andrew Farrell has already done a pretty good job at that, though. I don't know. What about you? What do you think?
It's an interesting one. I don't necessarily think it's a bad signing, honestly. If your plan is to just make sure that he's a center back that you bring in if you really need to rotate or if there's really an injury crisis, but he's going to add good leadership to the team. He knows how to win. And I think that's really the big thing for me is like New England was great during the regular season. And then you hit the playoffs where you need to like have that winning mentality, and then they blew it. So bringing in a guy like Omar Gonzalez might help in that regard and like teaching these guys, hey, this is what we need to do to win. This is how you have to think about these games. Like make sure you're on the front foot constantly. Like it's only a few games here. You don't have this opportunity where you could slip up and still win trophies. Like, so I actually think this could be a decent move, obviously, depending on how much he has to end up playing. If he ends up getting a significant chunk of game time, I think probably not the best move, but if he kind of is only like here and there getting some game time, I think could actually be a pretty good move for them.
I'm just going to look real quick, see if Jonathan Bell stays. Yeah, they signed him in. Yeah, so Jonathan Bell's going to be there too. So it very well might be a mentorship thing, which I'm all cool with. But you're right. If he gets massive minutes, we're questioning it a little bit. You don't turn Toronto from a Shield contender to to bottom of the East overnight, unless you're Omar Gonzalez. And then the only one that they have necessarily worry about is Teal Bunbury heading on over to Nashville for $150,000 in GAM. Great deal both sides. Teal Bunbury gave a lot of really good minutes to New England. However, it was time to, with Buxa and Bo, he wasn't getting as many appearances. He had about 9 appearances last year, maybe 10. Yeah, here and there he had a few of them, but Yeah, he was clearly low on the depth chart and getting up there in age. Nashville needed a more experienced striker to help him up top. Good deal, both sides. Love that. Yeah, thoughts?
No, I feel like you covered it. Good signing.
Naturally. Over to Chicago. Let you go ahead and jump on this one if you'd like.
All right, so we touched on it a little bit before, but Spencer Richie moved on to Chicago from Seattle. Pretty good signing, I think. He's just going to be a backup, so nothing crazy, but he's a guy that knows how to play. He knows how to play with a terrible back line in front of him, so that's a plus. And then linked away, a couple of pretty decent names for Chicago. So Ignacio Aliseda is rumored to go to FC Lugano. I've never
Not
heard.
rumored, he's gone.
Oh, he's gone?
Yep.
Okay. Officially moved to FC Lugano. Never heard of that team before, but
Switzerland.
Switzerland, okay. So that's going to be someone that they're probably going to have to look to replace. And then the bigger name on here is Slonina, Gabby Slonina.
Yep.
Been rumored to Juve's U23s. We kind of touched on this yesterday, and we had differing opinions on this, I think.
Yes, we did.
I was not a fan of this move, and I know you were. So
Correct.
I could say from my perspective, I didn't like the move because, for one, I don't really know how much Juve really promotes their young players into their system. I mean, they're very hard set on playing their old veterans. I mean, they've got Chiellini and Bonucci. I mean, they don't rotate much. So my concern is that he doesn't break into the team there and that they just go sign whatever breakout Italian star is playing in goal. I would rather see him playing at Chicago, where he can now get a full season under his belt, where he's going to start game in, game out. And he showed signs last season that he was going to be very good, despite the fact that Chicago on paper right now looks like a mess. So I would rather him get guaranteed playing time here for another season and then go move to Europe and actually start on a team, as opposed to just joining their youth academy and then just kind of working your way up from there. But you differ, so I'm curious to hear your take on it.
Sure. I mean, to me, it is all about the experience and the how do you say? I'll stick with experience. I don't know what other word I'd like to use there, but I'm looking at these players that are out on loan, and they're Chelsea. They're the Italian version of Chelsea. They take a bunch of people and they loan them out. But I think he grows more out on loan to a Serie B team, for example, than he does sitting in Chicago getting beat up on by a bunch of people every day. If he learns how to play with a defense in front of him. Again, you have to remember this guy's already in the running to be a men's national team goalkeeper for us. So I'd like to see him at this age. I'd like to see him go challenge himself and learn how to play with really decent players and learn the game instead of just learn how to be a good shot stopper, which is what he gets in MLS. And you know that I am always one of the first guys to say I'm big onto the keep him at MLS and let him get game time, right? But this is a different level of jump. This isn't going to Chelsea to ride the bench and get loans out. Juve's U23s are actually going to teach him something. But that's just me.
I think it's a fair way to look at it, honestly.
Yeah. Again,
but we will agree to disagree on that one.
Sure.
And we will also go to the next team.
I tell us when we're going to the next team, sir.
Well, tell us.
No. Okay. LAFC. Too big in, too big out. Expansion draft day trade for Ismail Tajuri Shroudy from Charlotte, who was taken from New York City, $400,000 in GAM. Franco Escobar, formerly of Atlanta United, on his way in for $600,000. Let me double check that value. Yep, $600,000. Pablo Cisniega away to Charlotte for $100K in GAM. And the big one is Edward Atuesta from anywhere between $4 to $7 million out to Palermas in Brazil. Let's start with the linked away. I know Connor is not a fan of Mr. Cisniega. Apparently, goalkeepers are not our area of agreement, which is funny because I am one, so I know them better. Huh. 100K for a guy that was going to be your second or even third string. Charlotte got a good one and got a good one cheap. So that's a good move for them. And then the Edward Atuesta, this was being rumored all the way back to last year, but this is good business for them, showing that they can take a player from Brazil. Or did he came from Brazil, didn't he? Oh, I might be wrong there.
I'm not sure. Maybe he came from Colombia.
Let me double check here. I know he is Colombian, but I thought he came from. Well, I don't know. All I have is he joined in 2018. That's all I got. I will. So I think that's a great to show that you can take somebody from the Colombian Professional League, Independiente Medellin, and promote him all the way through to a top level Brazilian team. Great for the league, good money. Now it's about, now it's about replacement, right? Now it's about who are you going to bring back in. And the players they brought in have been good, but have not been replacements. Ismail Tajuri Shroudy is a step up, and I know we talked about this, is a step up from Raheem Edwards, I think. And I like Raheem Edwards as a player, but I think Tajuri Shroudy, when healthy, provides a really good level there. And then Franco Escobar is absolutely a step up on Kim Moon Hwan at right back. I believe that's first name Kim. Yeah. But yeah, you'll be able to move him a little bit higher, play him more as a midfielder, which is where they like to play him anyway, and allow Franco Escobar to slide at the right back spot. You've got Murillo, Fall, Segura. Any of those three can rotate in the middle with Palacios or Farfan on the left. Romero in between the pipes. Right now, you've got Latif Blessing and Jose Cifuentes in the middle, and Janela as well. You had a whole bunch of people play center mid this year. It'd be interesting to see who they come in to kind of really take the number one role there, because I don't think Latif Blessing is the guy. You need somebody who's more of an 8 than a 10.
You're really
So
going into the roster breakdown right now.
I know. I do this all the time, but that's the next step for them. We'll move to the rosters later. But your thoughts?
I'll say it. Hot take. As of right now, I don't think they've had a good offseason.
Okay. Why?
For one, Cisniega went for 50.
It's up to 100. It's up to 100 when he breaks all the records.
Yeah. I'm going to assume 50 for now. I think that's a great signing for Charlotte.
Correct.
Because there's zero risk in it. I mean, you bought him for dirt cheap. 50K. I mean, that is. I'm going to do some quick math here really quick.
Maths.
Oops, that's the wrong way.
Jesus.
That is 20 Alistair Johnstons right there.
That's what you were doing math for.
I mean, that's the LAFC. Just I understand he was like their second or third choice at this point, but 50K. I mean, you might as well have let him just walk for free. They absolutely, I feel like, could have gotten something more out of that. Even 100K, just like 100K base. It feels very cheap for a guy who, while hasn't had a consistent starting job for a while, it's still had a decent chunk of games in the league. So that move, at the end of the day, it's not a big deal because he was their second or third. I just feel as though they could have gotten some more money for him. I think the Atuesta move is bad for them. I think the money is obviously good, but I don't think that's a player that they can replace. I don't think it's someone that they have on the team that can fill that role. He was someone that was easily one of the best midfielders in this league over the last few seasons. I think that he settled in here very well. So even if you go and buy a direct replacement, let's just say from South America, again, there's no promises that he translates to this game as well. And I think Atuesta fit in perfectly for that system. I think it really, I think that's a blow that they lost him there. Obviously, again, I get it. It's for good money, but I think that's going to be a big hole in that team. That's going to be really hard to replace. Franco Escobar, I will say, is a fantastic move. I think that's really good because he can play right back or center back in that back line, and that's an area that they need to work on. So he's a very quality player. I've seen him play obviously a number of times. Great signing for them. But I think that's an example right there where, you know, Franco Escobar went for 600K or something like that. And he didn't play at all for Atlanta last season. Cisniega was 50K. I mean, that's like 12 times less. So I feel like that's an example of where they could have just got more money. But ITS, another good player, I think. But I think I almost at the moment see him more as Diego Rossi's replacement because they just have not replaced Rossi. So until they've done that, that's kind of where I see him. And obviously ITS is a downgrade from Diego Rossi. But if you're comparing him to Raheem Edwards, yes, I agree. He's better. I still like the signing of ITS, but I just think that LAFC have taken a big step backwards at the moment. I don't think that they're done. I'm sure they're going to go sign more people because they've shown that they're very ambitious. But as of this date of recording, I think they have had a bad offseason and have taken a step back with their team. But that's just my thoughts.
Interesting. That's what I'll say to that. I think I think this is a good win again, and they've got so much to do. But I am going to say that so far so good. Atuesta had to go. You couldn't just say no.
I get it. But now you got to find that replacement, and that's going to be extremely hard.
Correct. But you can't just say no because you're afraid to go get a replacement.
I get it. Their hands were probably tied. I'm sure there was like not much that they could do, but that still doesn't take away from the fact that there's just a giant hole in their midfield now.
Sure, but they will get there again. And you have tons of players too. You got, and we won't go into the roster breakdown, but when we do, we'll have another conversation. Yes, he was good, but he is replaceable to me.
Okay, we've waffled on way too much about LAFC.
Yes. On to Columbus. Pretty cool takes here, and I just had to update a little bit. Crew Rhino tweeted that he wasn't sure if this is accurate, but Douglas Costa to Columbus Crew is a rumor that is floating about. I'm not hanging any sort of weight on this, but I think it's a pretty neat one. He'd be a lot of fun to watch in the league, and it's something I'd like to see. They also have brought in Brady Scott from Austin, one of the first-round draft picks that they had, during the expansion draft, I believe. Yes, he was in the expansion draft and was with FC Cologne. Played in the first team there. Yep, selected in the expansion draft. He's got a lot of potential there, and with room probably going away for a whole bunch of international appearances coming up, it's not bad to have him on the bench. And then a really interesting one I just saw was Milton Valenzuela linked to River Plate. That was posted just about a week ago from Hernan Castillo. And that's an interesting one. I think that'd be really cool to see him there. That'd be cool. Again, another one to say, we took somebody, built him up, and sent him to the biggest team in Argentina. That's pretty cool. So, yeah, I like that one. I like that one a lot. But nothing really, concrete yet outside of the Brady Scott one. So, what do you think about? Would you like to see Douglas Costa here?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that would be pretty cool. Brings that kind of like different skill that I think Insigne will bring. I feel like they're two very similar players. I'd be curious to see how he fits into Columbus, but would be cool to see him and Zoran playing together. And then, of course, who's up top? But the man, the myth, the legend himself, Giassi's artist. I think the Valenzuela one's an interesting one. I definitely feel like it's time for them to move on from Valenzuela. So I think he's just too unpredictable with his injuries. He's too injury prone, and they can't depend on him at left back because he plays like half the season. So I feel as though it would be a good move for them to capitalize on whatever value he's at right now and try to look for a new left back. ZBG, here he's available.
Now he's a right back and he's going to Red Bull.
Oh, I don't know why I kept thinking Johnston was playing for left back, but that's Lovitz.
When we get to Atlanta, I have a really good article here from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution about who Atlanta should sign next. Oh, it's Doug Robertson, even better. Yeah, we're gonna pick this one apart. But before that, we're going to San Jose. Obviously losing the legend that is Chris Wando.
Yeah, never forget. RIP.
The only thing that I've seen so far, and I could be wrong, is Jan Grey Goose was taken in the re-entry draft. So that would be a really good addition if they can get him on a good contract. And then Cade Cowell is linked away all the time because that's what happens. He is so they didn't bring back Alanis, but they did bring in Grey Goose, and Cade Cowell is just on the books of everybody and their brother, but not a lot to talk about here. Do you have anything I'm missing?
No, I don't think so. I mean, not like you said, not much to cover. Be curious to see where Cade Cowell goes.
Yeah, everybody's been talking a lot about him, but he is very up and down, right? He'll break out for a few weeks and then disappear. But he's got a lot of upside, so he wants to appear at the 2026 World Cups. So that's all I got for San Jose. Moving on to the greatest story of 2022, because I can see the future. It's FCC.
I see your bold take is already showing.
Alec Khan from Atlanta, massive. And I'll let you touch on that in a second. That's an absolutely massive get. Then you've got rumors that Don Badji could be getting back up top there, which would be a good rotation in for Brenner. They really didn't have a number 2. I think they were still running with Brandon Vasquez as their number 2. So that'll be a good second there. Alvis Powell at right back is always going to be, I mean, he was awful the first time around, but they're hoping he can be number 2. And to shore up that back line, Jose Aja, who every team he's been on has been poor defensively. So I'm not sure about that one, but thoughts on Alec Khan from the Atlanta man himself?
I think it's okay, honestly. I would say he's definitely underrated, but I also think that he hasn't played much at all over the last few seasons. I mean, ever since he joined Atlanta, he really gets sparse games. And when he started in the beginning before Brad came over, he was definitely solid. 100% improvement over Titone and Vermeer, but then again, that's not saying much.
Evil.
It's okay. It's nothing that's going to change this team from being rock bottom. I mean, I looked at the list of players that we have right here. That's not changing. In my opinion, that's not changing FCC out of rock bottom.
Interesting. I probably agree with you, but I don't know. I think they have to get better, right?
We say it every season. They've only gotten worse.
This list of names is not going to get them 3 wins.
I'd be shocked if it got them 2 more wins.
Well, it's something we'll have to look into for sure.
Alvis Powell's only going to make things worse, and so is Jose Aja. Like, could you imagine those 2 go in the back line? Poor Alec Khan is going to retire. And they're going to be stuck with Vermeer again.
Oh man, this is
imagine the back line of Aja. Let's just say like Alvis Powell, Deplanier.
Well, Deplanier is gone.
No, just bring him back. Get the band back together. Nick Hagland.
If Bruce Arena can do it, they can do it. Let's go to Red Bull. Red Bull, we got a lot to talk about.
You got a lot to talk about.
We'll start off with the confirmed signing of Lewis Morgan. 1.2 million GAM, and everybody's saying they overpaid. They took that 1.2, and this goes back to the conversation we had about Alistair Johnson. They took that 1.2 and spent it on some guy from the Turkish 3rd division, which is where we get all of our best players, and brought him in to be an absolute bust. This team is going to complain that we never sign anybody anyway. Lewis Morgan is a known MLS talent. He knows the league. He knows the way to play, and he will fit well into the Red Bull high press system. I think it's a great get. Really excited to watch him play. And if he completely buys in, really excited to see what he can do. We were linked to Sebastian Cordova, a striker from the Mexican league. I believe he's with Club America right now. This is a stretch. I think he's a little bit too old and a little bit too expensive for Red Bull's taste, so I don't think he'd become, but I'd love to have him. Tom Edwards, they talked about maybe bringing him back. I doubt we get him back. I think he wants to go chuck long balls and long throw-ins for Stoke, but do you, my guy?
Rainy Night in Stoke, starring Tom Edwards.
Daniel Edelman. This is a really interesting one. A U20 US U20 international from Red Bull 2 signed up. Somebody that a lot of people think is going to be in the Red Bull pipeline in the next couple of years. They think that's how good he is. There are lots of Tyler Adams comparisons to him. And it'd be cool if we could get Sean Davis to play next to him, but my guess is we won't. So it'll be him and Yearwood, which would be really interesting. But he was one of 2 players, I believe, that were called straight from USL up to the US U20 national team. So the dude's got a high upside, and it'll be really interesting to watch him play. Dylan Nealis, we got the Nealis bros back together to play right back. I forgot we don't need Zachary Broguillard because we got Dylan Nealis now. He will fit in really well. He played wing back at Inter Miami and then again a little bit at Nashville, but he will fit in super well in this system, and playing next to your brother makes you play just a little bit harder. Texia Tris Fontas. This is, my guess is it's Andrew Fontas' brother. No, I'm just kidding. A Greek international from the Turkish league who or I'm sorry, the Austrian league, who I'm guessing Red Bull Salzburg has been scouting, and they want to put him in to play left back so that Tolkien can play center mid, and they can all just go to Red Bull Salzburg in 2 years anyway. And lastly, Fabio was linked the other day to come back from once a Metro. I really don't want to see him back, especially if we have Lewis Morgan. He just didn't work. He didn't work with the team that we had, and it's not that he was a bad player. He just didn't work. The biggest name linked away right now is Sean Davis, a free agent currently, and has offers to other MLS sides as well as some European offers, but right now leading the way from what I hear is Nashville SC. So lots of movement for Red Bull. This is a complete change from what they were 2 years ago. Massive moves, some Red Bull 2 signings, but for the most part, going out, getting talent and trying to work it into the system best that they can. It would suck to lose Sean Davis, another captain. That's got to be like 4 captains in 5 years or something like that. But listen, he was really good. This might be the best that he ever gets. He's at the peak of what he can do. It might as well get what we can. Well, he's a free agent. We'll lose him on a free, but that's the Red Bull way, evidently. Obviously, Kyle Duncan is gone as well to Oostende. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but KV Oostende in Belgium. That'll hopefully raise his stock in the men's national team camp, and he can be our 8th string right back, because apparently that's all we make in America is right backs. But yeah, just some. I'm liking the moves that they're making so far. That's what I'll say. Thoughts?
I was waiting to make sure you were done. I still think Lewis Morgan is a touch of an overpay, but I do think it's a necessary overpay.
Who asked you?
Me. I think I agree that he is obviously an established talent in this league, and whether they play him at right wing back or second striker, I think it is a good player to bring in, because, like I said, they have to replace somebody who's seemingly not there anymore. So I still think it's a good move for them. I don't know anything about Cordova, so whatever you said. Edwards, I think, is probably gone, which kind of sucks because he was versatile on the back line. Edelman, Nealis, don't know too much about them. Kind of just go with what you say. I think what you said is fair about, playing with your brother, a little bit of an extra motivating factor. Fountas, I don't know anything about him, so don't really have much to say on him. I guess he would be a Gutman replacement.
Yeah, he'd replace Gutman and allow Tolkien to stay as another center mid. Yeah, we'll do a whole roster breakdown next season.
And Fabio would obviously be nice to bring back, but I kind of feel like he's not going to come back. So I saw his name linked with a bunch of other teams as well. So
right. It was Minero and Fenerbahce, and
yeah. So interest is high for him. It's going to be hard for Red Bull to fight off the other suitors to bring him back, but I don't necessarily think that's as big of a loss because you brought in Lewis Morgan, who could replace him. Then Sean Davis linked away. I feel like he's gone, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I feel like he's definitely off to Nashville.
That would be 3 former Red Bulls.
Yeah, they're just signing all former Red Bulls. 2 former Red Bull captains. Would that be now?
Well, I mean, Alex Moon was never he never wore the armband, but in spirit, he was a captain, so it'd be 3.
Okay, so 3. 3 for this. So it's a criteria that they have to be a captain in order to go over. Okay, good to know. Yeah, I think it's been a very busy offseason for Red Bull. Kind of makes sense. I guess this is Struber's offseason to bring in the guys that he wants, but
yep,
it's going to be interesting to see how the chemistry goes with a lot of this turnover.
Yeah, it's silly when people go out and say, "Oh, Red Bull don't sign anybody." This is going to be, if we get, like I said, 1, 2, 3. If we get Taxi, it'll be 4. That'll be 4 on top of the 12 players we signed last year. I mean, 16 signings is more than we made like the 4 previous years before that. So it's silly to say they're not going in a different direction, but they're still sticking to their system where they're getting young and selling at a high profit. But as long as they're not doing it strictly through RB2, I don't think we can complain, as long as the players can play. Anyways, enough about our good friends at Red Bull. Let's move on to Portland. Okay, we've moved on to Portland. Let's go. Portland have been, ever since MLS Cup, have been very quiet. The only thing I believe I saw was the idea that they're still trying to re-sign our buddy Blanco. They lost Steve Clark in free agency, but yeah, there's no news on transfers. There's no. Yeah, you had. So this is stumptownfooty.com. This is a SB Nation outcast of the Portland Timbers. It's Steve Clark to Portland, and then the most recent one after that is Jeremy Abobasi to San Jose, which was August 5th. So they've been quiet since MLS Cup. That's okay. You want to say we'll pass on Charlotte because we're going to do a whole thing on them, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's fair.
All we're going to say is just what they've done. So we'll just do a quick run through. Jalen Lindsay, $325K in GAM. Pablo Cisniega, we talked about. Vinicius Melo is one of their young DP signings. Harrison Awful for some help in the back. Jordi Reyna for some godforsaken reason. And Alan Franco, but not that Alan Franco, the other Alan Franco.
Don't get the two Alan Francos confused.
But we'll touch on that again. Probably next season. We'll dive deeper into that. Yeah. But we'll move on to Houston. A couple of really good things, but I'll let Connor. I haven't let you talk too much. Why don't you go ahead?
Okay. You just want to give me this one because you want me to pronounce that last name. So we touched on it before, but Daniel Steres is here for a 3rd-round pick. Darwin Quintero.
He's back, baby.
He's back. Darwin Quintero never dies. Adam's hype train lives on. Steve Clark is in. And Yusuf Ndiashimi.
Nice. I'll take it.
That's he is a center back from Başakşehir, reported by Manav, a verified journalist in Turkey. So some recognizable names here, like Steres, Steve Clark, obviously Darwin Quintero, guys who have been in the league before. Steres for a 3rd-round pick, in my opinion, is a good move. Not going to improve them really that much, but
I think you're out of your mind.
Whoever LAFC drafts in the 3rd round is probably not going to even reach the level that Daniel Steres is at. So
I think you mean the Galaxy, but go on.
Yeah, sorry, I meant the Galaxy.
It's been a long day. We've been recording for a long time.
Yeah. So I think it's a good move for them to just get some more cover. Quintero, I guess.
Quintero didn't even play last year. I'm not quite sure why, but
yeah,
that's all. Adam probably put this one through.
Yeah, he probably did. I think he probably put the petition together. Steve Clark, I think you're going to be a big fan of that one much more than I am.
Yeah,
I think Steve Clark's solid, definitely improvement over Maric, but I don't think it's that much of an improvement over Marco Maric. I think Steve Clark's a good goalkeeper in the league, but he's nothing special. He's no Matt Turner, Andre Blake, Sean Johnson. You know, he's like
Carlos Cornell.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Clark's more like a
He's middle of the row. We get it.
Yeah. So I don't think it's necessarily.
I didn't even think of one.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Tyler Miller,
like Brad Guzan.
Yes, Tyler Miller.
I feel like Miller is a bit better than Steve Clark, a little bit.
Who else? JT Marcinkowski.
Yeah, that's a good one. JT. He's like, I would say he's like on par with JT or like Brad Stuber.
Or Brad
So-
Stuber. Giving up tons of goals, evidently.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope Portland fans torch you for that, by the way.
No, I'm kidding.
Because they both were the worst goalkeepers in the league last year. So I
And
hope
they were definitely not the worst goalkeepers just because they let up.
conceded the most.
Okay, look who JT had playing in front of him. Us rock
Somebody
star.
he had a center back that we said should have been in the best
And that's
11
it.
conversation.
And that's it. Who else is in the back line?
Listen,
Nobody.
I'm just saying.
It was JT and Nathan versus the world. Yeah, so I think it's an improvement, but I don't think it's anything like super improving that's gonna like soar them into the playoffs. So and then I know nothing about Yusuf.
That was
Not-
just reported today. Probably just more center back help, which doesn't make sense. I mean, they brought in teenage Habaji or Hadaji,
Adebe.
whoever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have Tim Parker already.
And
So
they have Tim Parker. So Daniel, they could be looking to go 3 back.
that's interesting. Do
It
they
might
have wingbacks?
push-
Convert Memo to a wingback? I don't even know. Dark
But-
Dark
I think they
Valentine.
brought Darwin back.
Oh God, Darwin a wingback. Disgusting.
No, I'm sure you'll see more moves to try and fit that. But they did lose Ari Lassiter in the whole kind of free agency deal, and he moved to where'd he go? I just had him. I just saw him.
He went to Inter Miami.
In Miami. Thank you. Yeah, he's right next to him. Go me.
Nice.
Houston are going to be good next year.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
gonna
You said that last
say-
year too.
I'm saying it. 'Cause I want to.
I mean, they're
Um,
bad.
A full stop here. Thomas Pochettino from Austin. I know we did Austin already, but is in advanced talks for a loan to River Plate.
Interesting. That's not going to help Boston much.
It won't, but just really weird that they're going to let one of their best players walk already.
I guess maybe they're just trying to blow it up again. I don't know.
Oh no, I lost my. Oh no,
You lost your mind? Yeah, we
I
know.
lost my randomizer.
You said Houston was going to be super good next year.
I lost my randomizer.
I can't wait till we get to the roster breakdowns of these.
I can't wait to
That'll
get
be good.
sliced.
Then you're going to see that you're incorrect.
Pochettino, 2 goals, 1 assist. Their 6th best player last year, according to WhoScored.com.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world, but
It's not, but
why not give him a second season?
Yeah, 2,200 minutes is not something to sneeze at. Interesting.
Who's next, Mr. Randomizer?
Well, the randomizer's gone, so we're gonna go down the list and go to Orlando. Did we talk about Orlando yet?
No.
Rock on. Let's talk about Orlando. Sean Davis was linked to Orlando at some point. So Connor's laughing because Yoshi Yotun, somebody who for some reason Adam hated, but Orlando fans love, was rumored to be back. Please and pretty please. Rumored to come back. There's no real movement on that, but it's something to keep an eye on. They can get some center mid help from him.
We need it. We need Yoshi of the week back.
Yeah, but he's not awful.
Doesn't matter. It's what we named it. It has to stick now.
And the big one that I've seen most recently, the name that's going most heavily, Facundo Torres. If I just pull this up really quickly.
Recently that deal was off now.
I've seen that it came back on.
It's a pretty toxic relationship we've got here. Can we make a decision here?
I
On
am
or off? What do we want?
We'll see if Will Forbes tweeted something about it. I don't know where I saw it, but I did read it to say that Facundo Torres is like 75% there. They want this done. Facundo Torres, Orlando. There it is. Done deal. Peñarol president stated that Facundo Torres to Orlando City is close to being finalized for $10 million for 70% of the winger's rights. And that was 9 hours ago. This would be, but it would be a massive move. He's the brightest playmaker in South America. Surprised that Europeans didn't get him first. This is going to be either Brian Rodriguez bad or Miguel Almiron good. Or should I say South American Player of the Year, P.D. Martinez bad or Miguel Almiron good? He's, we've had this song and dance before where the player comes in, he's got all these big things about how good he is in South America, and he flops. So it'll be very interesting to see. Likewise, Daryl DK linked to the Prem. That's old news. And no, he is not the best U22 player in the league.
Yes, he is.
Incorrect. Gosh, now I gotta find out. We did DC, right? Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Vancouver Whitecaps. Go ahead.
All right. Pretty short list we got here. 2 names linked to, no names linked away. So Tristan Blackman was traded on expansion draft day for $350,000 in GAM. That is 7 Cisniegos if you're keeping track at home.
We don't measure in Cisniegas. We put
You're
this
right.
out already. We measure in
Jorgensens. Yes, you're right. How many Jorgensens is that? Doesn't matter. Too many. It's an interesting move. I'm not personally a big Tristan Blackman fan. So I feel like, $350K in GAM, it feels a bit much for him. I don't know. I'm curious to hear your take on it. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't think it improves them that much defensively. I feel like it's a big amount of money for him. But the second one linked to Sean Davis. If they can bring in Sean Davis, that would be fantastic. Whoever lands Sean Davis, it'll be a great move for them. Obviously, an MLS veteran. He was a leader on his former team. He's a very quietly really important piece to whatever team he's going to go to. So some good and some bad, in my opinion, for Vancouver. But what's your say on it?
The Tristan Blackman one was the most interesting one to me. 22 appearances last year, 2 yellows and a red. But everybody keeps raving about how good this guy is supposed to be. I've yet to see it.
Mm-hmm.
6 appearances in 2020. Yes, it was shortened, but 6 appearances. 20 appearances in 2019, 10 in 2018. 25 years old. It never really sat to see how well he's done. He's average at best in terms of the squad that is LAFC. What is he? He is their 25th best rated player, like out of 31, and most of those people below him didn't play much at all. Just something doesn't click here. I mean, Vancouver probably sees something I don't, and it could be in the form of
they probably don't. Let's be honest here.
They see somebody they can sell in 6 months. But to me, what I'm trying to figure out is what spot would he fit best in? Again, if teams are starting to transition to a 3-back with wingers, he could play right-sided center back and would be okay with a lot of help around him. But there's something.
I don't feel like they need him, right? Like they've got Nerwinski and Bruno Gaspar, don't they?
Well, Bruno Gaspar was on loan. They didn't exercise that, so he's gone.
Okay.
All
right. So then if they go 5 in the back, then maybe they would.
Yeah. But again, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I don't question the powers that be. I just enjoy the craziness of the league. Yeah, 350 for that is expensive. Considering that. I believe the next one on my list is Nashville. I don't think we've done Nashville yet. Lots of movement from our friends in the Music City. On the half-day trade window, they got Ethan Zubak from LA Galaxy, as well as Teal Bunbury for $150K in GAM from New England. We talked about that already. Did I not add Ethan Zubak to the Galaxy? Damn.
Whatever. It's too late now.
No, it's never too late. They also were linked with Sean Davis, like we said, and they're probably the front runners there. And then Josh Bauer in the expansion draft from Atlanta. We'll let Connor share his thoughts on that one. But linked away, obviously we talked about Alistair Johnston, but the big one is Walker Zimmerman. People have been saying that lots of high-level English teams and European teams in general have kind of put some questions in to see if there's something kicking around with him. So something to keep an eye on for sure, because if they lose Zimmerman, they're probably in trouble, because he two-time defender of the year. That doesn't just get replaced on a whim. Thoughts on the Josh Bauer pick?
Honestly, I really have nothing to say. I don't know anything about Josh Bauer.
I'm pretty sure.
He never played once for Atlanta.
He did not, but he played 3 times for Birmingham Legion.
Yeah, we're spending too much time on Josh Bauer. I don't think anybody listening cares about Josh Bauer. Sorry.
What I'm asking is, do you think he can make an impact on Nashville, or is he just take a flyer and see what happens?
Flyer.
Got it.
But they obviously, we've been talking about this, I think more so offline, but Nashville has been stacking a lot of money, like Tam Gam money.
Correct.
Makes me think if Zimmerman does leave, they have a plan already in the back of their mind. I don't know for who, but if Zimmerman walks, I feel like they got an idea of what they want to do. I am also interested in seeing who they replace Johnston with. So they're going to need a right back now.
That sounds very roster breakdown of you.
Yeah. I'm not gonna look at too much into it, but if Zimmerman and Johnston leave, that's 2 pretty big holes in their back line, which is a very crucial part of their team. But Zimmerman obviously, as of right now, has not left. So I think them bringing in Zubak, Bunbury, potentially Sean Davis, and losing Johnston, but getting the money that they got for him, very good offseason in my opinion.
Well, like I said, offseason is just getting started. We got tons of time to look at that. By the way, Alistair Johnston's been playing more of a right mid role. You know who else plays a right mid role?
Alex Muyl.
And guess what? When Alex Muyl puts up those types of numbers, he's making $1 million moves too. Goat. All right, let's see. We probably got like 5 or 6 more. So let's try and run through this. Philadelphia have had some made one really interesting move. Julian Carranza from Inter Miami loaned to the Philadelphia Union for a 2nd round pick, which just highlights how in shambles that team is. But really good business from Philly to basically take a guy and say, you're either going to pan out for us, or we lost a pick we weren't going to use anyway, so see you later. I think it's a great business, and excited to see how he fits into Jim Curtin's side. Kai Wagner has made it very, very clear that he's ready for a move to Europe, and I'm interested to see if that transpires, as well as Stuart Finley. The center back they brought in last year didn't make too much of an impact, but Hibernian is looking to bring him back. I'd wonder if that manifests itself. But Kai Wagner's one to definitely keep an eye on, one of the best left backs in the league since he got here. Wonder where he'd go. But the Julian Carranza, love that move. Love that move from Philly.
Yeah, wholly agree. I think Carranza is a great move. I mean, there's no risk in it at all, and there's only very high reward. So, very good move from them there. But would suck losing Wagner, but Philly will find a way to replace that role and be fine. I mean, they're very good at rotating out guys and bringing in some new players, whether it be from the academy or signing somebody. So, it's they're not going to lose any sleep over losing Stuart Finley. So, so far seems like a pretty good offseason for Philly.
Yeah, no, Philly's again, offseason is not. I don't think offseason is the right word to use, but so far, silly season has been lots of fun for them.
Okay, I like that. Silly season's been a lot of fun for them.
Yes. Inter Miami. This. I don't
talk about silly season not being fun for somebody.
All right, so let's talk about this real quick. So Lewis Morgan and Julian Carranza, we've talked about them already. Picked up just about 1.2 million in GAM. That kind of clears out their debt from what was taken away from them this season. They went out and signed Jean Mota, a center mid from Santos, who I've told is bang average at best. Tracks. They're also linked to Sebastian Cordova. We talked about that a little bit when RBNY came around. They signed Ari Lassiter. They signed Mo Adams from Atlanta, which again, bang average. And then the big one. There's never a silly season where Inter Miami aren't linked to somebody stupid. Luis Suarez is on the radar of Inter Miami. So Ekrem Kanur has a pretty cool quote tweet thread here. Started with Corinthians monitoring Edison Cavani. Then it evolves to Corinthians are closely monitoring the situations of Cavani and Luis Suarez. That transforms into Corinthians and Inter Miami are closely monitoring Luis Suarez's situation. Inter Miami offered Suarez a 2-year contract. The striker's contract is due to expire in June 2022. Which doesn't make any sense unless Beckham convinced him to come and play for free. Because they have no money. They broke all the rules and they're still linked to him. I can't imagine he comes over, but if he does, is he automatically the best striker in the league? Like, do you know anybody who's going to stop this guy?
Oh no, he would tear the league apart.
No, that's what I mean. It's silly, but again, unless they're taking, again, I don't know what the roster looks like. I need to look at it, but Luis Suarez is not somebody you're getting to play unless you're telling the league that you paid him a TAM contract like he did Blaise Matuidi, and then you broke the rule. Bro, it would not shock me in the slightest if David Beckham is just going in, breaking all the rules and being like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know. I thought it was this," and they're just gonna let him do it because he knows he'll get away with it.
No, he didn't get away with it the first time.
He did. He played 2 seasons with 5 DPs.
Yeah, but did he really get away with it?
They're about to get away with it.
No.
Luis Suarez to Inter Miami is something that we're going to watch very, very closely because I don't want him anywhere near this league unless he's playing for Red Bull.
Which he's never going to.
Correct. All right. What if you move on to SKC and tell me about this SKC team?
I would tell you that they've had an interesting silly season.
There you go.
So they've been linked to Richard Figueroa, unless that's official.
I am looking it up right now.
Okay, from Zamora FC. No,
Zamora.
I know absolutely nothing about him, honestly.
He is a 25-year-old Venezuelan.
Okay.
Playing for Venezuelan Zamora.
Okay. Let's see what position he plays.
He's a winger. So They lost. So Sporting KC lost Jalen Lindsay, Luis Martins, and Ili Sanchez all this off season. But Richard Figueroa does not fit that profile of any of those players. So
it's a confusing one because they have Russell and Shallowy who are
they contributed to the majority of their goals last year.
Yeah, I mean that's you're talking about two of the best wingers in the league last season. I can't understand that one, but to each their own.
Yeah, he is linked. He's linked to Envigado in Colombia, Sporting KC, and Atlante in Mexico, and other Venezuelan teams. In the last tournament, he was one of the best in the club and scored 9 goals.
Interesting.
9 goals, 3 assists in 1,700 minutes. 25-year-old left winger, but he would probably play on the right, and that's where Peter Vermees would play him. He'd be a depth piece that provides a punch off the bench. Neither FIFA or Football Manager rate him highly, though there are no up-to-date points on him. Sorry, I'm reading from the bluestatement.com, which is SB Nation outpost for Sporting KC.
Yeah, no worries. 2 official signings, Ben Sweat and Yuri Ursel.
Both free agent signings.
Yes. Nothing spectacular, but nothing bad either. And then they picked up Robert Beric in the reentry draft. Be interesting to see if they manage to sign him, because then he would be competing for game time with Pulido, assuming Pulido stays. So I'd be interested to keep an eye on that. But I'm
wondering. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm wondering if if they took him just to say, in case he wants to come back, we have right of first refusal and people have to pay us.
Yeah, probably. So then, as we mentioned before, Jalen Lindsay is out. He's at Charlotte for $325K in GAM. So that was an interesting one for us because we really thought he was going to be the heir to the Zusi throne at right back. Yeah. And apparently not. So be interesting to see who inevitably replaces Zusi when Zusi retires.
Right. And again, they turned down the contracts for Luis Martins, Roberto Punchech, Ili Sanchez. So a lot of players there also out. So they've got a little bit of rebuilding to do. I think Uri Russell's a good start and Ben Sweat's a good start if he can stay healthy. If Figueroa comes in, he'll be a good depth piece. But movement on the SKC front to watch for sure. Did we talk about the Loons? There's not much to talk about the Loons, but let's talk about them a little bit.
Go for it.
There's only really one. They picked up Eric Dick, a backup, really a third string goalkeeper in the expansion draft. Then MNUFC Insider on Twitter talked about Miguel Marientiel, who actually I believe you quoted that one. What are we looking at there?
Yeah, it's obviously I'm not exactly sure how reliable the source is, but it's a Uruguayan forward who plays for Peñarol. He's about 25. He has been on loan. Well, no, he's never made an appearance for Peñarol. He was on loan at a few clubs, and I think most recently was actually with Godoy Cruz. Not exactly sure. His Wikipedia is very confusing on it. Kind of says he's at both right now for some reason.
Yeah, 2 places at once.
Yeah.
You've never done that?
I can't say I have, but it is an interesting one. Seeing it's probably depth because I can't see him replacing Unu. Right. But at least it's a name on the board in Minnesota, because otherwise I've got nothing.
They've definitely been one of the quieter teams for sure. But
Minnesota only does things last minute if we haven't picked up on that. All right.
Yeah, no, they're waiting for us to tell them that they had an awful
Yeah,
silly season just for them
so
to go
they can
sign
go
like
sign. Yeah, they're gonna go sign.
Cristiano Ronaldo, and we're just like,
Yeah.
whoa, we look
Yeah.
stupid.
A bunch of idiots. So we're bad. Look at us now.
Only one team left. Do you know who it is?
Gotta be the best team in the league.
No, Charlotte. We're doing it another time. Atlanta have been in the papers a lot. I'll do a quick rundown. You can give me your thoughts, and then I'll let you know what Doug Robertson, our favorite Atlanta beat writer, says that you guys should look at.
Okay.
Thiago Almeida, Fabrizio Romano, big transfer guy, $16 million transfer fee, says that he is coming. I've yet to see anything else confirmed, but it says he's coming, and he is going to be absolutely massive. He will, again, this is going to be another Barco or Almiron type signing, one or the other. And you better hope it's the latter. They also picked up Ozzy Alonso, a very big Jeff type signing, very big Jeff. But we love it. We love to see a little bit there. He's never missed the playoffs in his career, so don't make it happen.
We won't.
So, and then the linked away is the cooler area. Bundesliga and Premier League teams are looking at Miles Robinson. George Bello just had an official inquiry from Watford. That was 5 hours ago. And an update on Bello. For a UK work visa, he needs to have 15 FAGBE points. Don't know what the FAGBE is, but he gets 10 for playing in 80% of Atlanta's games. He gets 2 for playing in all of Atlanta's CCL games. And he gets he gets 9 for being a part of the men's national team because we're number 11 in the world. So he has 21 points. So he can make that move, get a work visa, and play. Interesting, something to keep an eye on. Ezekiel Barco's always in the papers about being moved somewhere because for some reason, even though he plays subpar, he's still supposedly a $15 million wonder kid. Eric Lopez is on there to be loaned out to either Argentina or Mexico. Be an interesting one. We talked about Franco Escobar and then Alan Franco looking to be sent over to Sao Paulo. But share your thoughts. Go ahead and dive into it for a little bit. Let me know.
Well, if Almada comes in, someone's got to go because he's definitely going to take a DP contract. So either Barco's probably gone or Alan Franco. So I think I'm not sure who exactly the DPs are at the moment because it's between Franco, Barco, Moreno, or Joseph. I don't remember who the 3 are out of those. I think Barco may not be a DP. Anyway, you got to figure that they're probably gone because you got to open up a spot so that you can bring Amada in. Miles Robinson leaving and George Bello leaving makes complete sense. They're at the point now where they probably should make a move.
It's Joseph, Barco, and Araujo.
Joseph, Barco, and Araujo. So Moreno and Franco are not DPs. Interesting.
Moreno was one. They bought him down. So was Alan Franco. They bought him down.
Okay. So then Franco doesn't necessarily have to move then. Barco's probably gone if Almada comes in, which makes sense. You're essentially replacing Barco and resetting and retrying with Barco again. Yeah, like I said, Bello and Robinson moves make sense. Those 2 are starting to hit their peak and should be making moves to Europe. It sucks. Those are going to be super big holes to fill, but I do think they have the guys for it. I think George Campbell slides right into that Robinson role.
Do you think so?
I don't think he will necessarily be at the level of Robinson, definitely not right away, but I do think he will get there. I think he'll pan out And then Gutman sliding right into Bellows' role. I think that's perfect as well. That one I think will be much more seamless transition than obviously Campbell for Robinson, but I have high hopes on Campbell. Bringing in Ozzy, I think is fantastic. I really, really like that because I think we were really lacking the leadership last year. I think he's really going to help with that, hopefully, and adds a little bit of depth in the midfield where Lord knows we need help. A little disappointed to not see more midfield names linked to Atlanta because that's where I think their biggest holes are. Losing Franco Escobar sucks, but I think we got a good amount of money for someone who I feel like was already one step out the door. So good move there, in my opinion. Eric Lopez, they definitely should look to loan him out. I feel like they'll end up loaning him with an option to buy, which means that they're probably just giving up on that one already, which kind of sucks. And Alan Franco, man, I would hate to see him leave, but would not surprise me either because that would just follow the trend of all the South American center backs who come in, play for a little bit, and then leave us because they've all done it.
The one of the other things that you can do, as I'm looking here, MLS kind of talked about it. You can sign. It depends on what you can do with his contract, Almada, but you can sign him as a U22 if one of Santi Sosa, Franco Ibarra, or Eric Lopez leaves permanently.
Well, Lopez is looking to leave, so maybe that'll be
could be that one. Either way, just some thoughts there. But we have our good friend Doug Robertson.
Yep.
He's talking about players that you guys probably should sign. Backup striker is an obvious role, he says. Former Seattle players Will Bruin and Freddie Montero as free agents. Bradley Wright Phillips, Dom Baji, Juan Agudelo, Abu Danladi, Ayo Akinola, but he's going to stay in Canada, I think. That's pretty fun. What do we think about those striker options just before we move on?
Some of them weren't so bad. Some of them were pretty bad.
Man, give me, I'll give you Bradley Wright Phillips and Juan Agudelo.
I'm going to pass. I wouldn't be too opposed to BWP just from a leadership perspective. I want Juan Agudelo as far away from this team as possible. It was bad enough we had to deal with Kubo Torres.
He said he thinks that you'll see more homegrown minutes, Campbell, Conway, Wolf, and Chol.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, it wouldn't
chop Chol in our life.
Doug Robertson covers the Atlanta United.
Was that it? Was it the only thing in the article?
That's all he had there, but I like how his bio says that he covers the Atlanta United.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like the Ohio State.
Yeah, well, it's not to get confused with Atalanta.
Yes, because that's everybody. Everybody gets confused. All right. I've been talking to you for way too long today. This thing has gone on way too long. Let's go ahead and end it. That is the beginning of silly season and the end of season 2. And we may have actually split this into 2 episodes. We'll see how it goes. But take a look out for our social media to see what our grades are for these moves or potential moves. Make sure you're following us everywhere, right? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, anywhere that you get your podcast. Make sure you subscribe and give us a rating so that we can keep giving you some really good content. Season 3 is going to be great. I can't wait. It's going to be so good. We hope you enjoy and you share and you can join us for another season of this wacky podcast. But what else you got, Connor?
I want to correct you. We are a wacky professional podcast.
We are definitely professional in every sense of the word, and we love having very serious and not fun takes.
No, nothing fun.
No
Only
fun.
serious takes.
Facts only.
Yes, including the fact that Ben Olsen needs to replace Greg Berhalter on the U.S. men's national team. Serious takes only.
Yes. Greg, you're gone. Give me Ben. Give me Jordan Lewis. Give me Jackson Ewell. Give me Ryan Hollingshead. Give me
National Jet.
anybody who can play. Give me Julian Gressel. Give me them all.
Gonzalez. Bill Hamid.
Oh my God, this is.
You
We
see
need
that?
to.
You know where
That
it's
has to
going?
be.
You know
That
where
has
it's
to.
going?
That has to be an episode next season.
Right into the veins.
That has to be an episode next season. Meme team.
The meme team of dreams.
Meme team of dreams. Yeah. So we'll see which direction 2022 takes us. If it becomes a little bit more informative, or we're just gonna have some fun with it, we'll see. But thank you for joining us for another great season of the Designated Players Podcast, and we hope you enjoyed. Make sure you share with all your friends, and we will see you in season 3. See ya.